Cricket Australia and head coach Justin Langer have parted ways. After a whirlwind 4 years at the helm, Langer guided Australia from crisis to 2 victorious Ashes campaigns, the #1 rank at Test level, and World Cup glory. So how has this departure come about so suddenly, and was Langer treated unfairly? When adjudicating Langer's success, we have to remember Australia's position prior to his appointment. Langer was named as Australia's coach following the sandpaper saga in Cape Town in 2018. Having lost the nation's captain to a 12-month ban and their 2 opening batsmen, Australia's cricket side was in shambles, with their reputation at an all-time low. At the time, Langer was sitting comfortably as the most well-respected coach at domestic level. He had lifted Western Australia from mediocrity to 3 List A titles, 3 Big Bash titles, and laid the groundworks to develop a dominant Sheffield Shield side that would regularly harvest players ready to fire at Test level. After a Test career where he established himself as a ruthless opener with a big heart for his teammates, Langer was the obvious choice to lead Australia, especially when considering outgoing coach Darren Lehmann's attitude to winning at all costs. Langer's more measured coaching style, mixed in with his ruthless desire for discipline, was exactly what Australia needed in a time when reputation was of utmost importance. When looking at the starting 11, Australia's side at the time looked vastly different to the all-conquering attack seen today. While the vacancies left by Smith, Bancroft and Warner left a massive talent vacuum for his initial year at the helm, Langer put trust in his players coming through the Sheffield Shield. Langer was able to fix Australia's middle order woes that had plagued their side for years. He mended Australia's reputation alongside their newly appointed captain Tim Paine, at least for the time, and was able to add depth to what initially was a thin bowling attack. Between the years of 2019 and 2022, Australia won all but 1 Test series, boosting him to a 55.5% win record in Test cricket, the second highest for an Australian cricket coach. Langer's greatest achievement was retaining the Ashes on English soil, becoming the first to do so since John Buchanan in 2001. Langer stretched Australia's success beyond the Test arena. He dragged Australia out of 2020 wilderness to claim its first ever 2020 World Cup trophy, something Australia had failed to capture in the tournament's 15-year history. Langer has been able to create an Australian side in both short form and Test cricket that is now not only stable, but a dominant force that looks towards a bright future. So that is why it came as a shock to many when the announcement of his resignation was plastered all over national headlines earlier this month. Langer walked away from the game after he was offered a short-term coaching stint until the end of the World Cup, one Cricket Australia surely knew he would refuse. It appears Langer left the job to a feeling of it being in everyone's best interests, something he touches on in his resignation letter. If the media reports are correct, several senior players and a couple of support staff don't support me moving forward, and it is now apparent the CA board are also keen to see the team move in another direction. I respect that decision. My life has been built on values of honesty, respect, trust, truth, and performance, and if that comes across as too intense at times, I apologize, Langer wrote. Langer touches on some key points in this letter, most notably a lack of player and board support due to his apparent intensity as a leader. In 2020, Usman Khawaja spoke out in the Amazon documentary The Test of how Australian players like himself were intimidated by his coaching style and were walking on eggshells when he was around in the dressing room. The ABC compared the behaviour of Australian players in the documentary around Langer with that of school students when a teacher walks into a classroom. These attitudes prompted the leadership group of ODI captain Aaron Finch, captain at the time Tim Paine, and vice captain Pat Cummins to interject and call for a change in Langer's behaviour. This on top of some questionable motivational tactics, such as using a LinkedIn post to indirectly inspire his players, was how Langer fell from grace. But intimidating and intense coaches who push their players in high-level sporting environments is nothing new. Some of football's greatest managers have a reputation for being ruthless, and even worse can be said for those in gymnastics and figure skating. But in an industry where a coach's success is determined off a team's performance rather than likability, it begs to question if Cricket Australia has made the right decision and whether their treatment of Langer is fair. Sports journalist Robert Craddock from The Australian effectively summarised the disparity between Australian cricket players and Langer as a sign of changing times. Langer was raised in a hard system, but now coaches in a softer one. When he started, you could tell a player his defense was rubbish and you would never have to worry about the consequences. Try the same words today and you or your chief executive were likely to have a player manager or the player's mum on the phone. Long gone are the days when international cricket coaches ruled the players that played underneath them. The IPL, the Big Bash, and franchise cricket has given cricket players the freedom to take cricket where they want and are no longer reliant on international cricket to make a name for themselves. The nail was hammered into the coffin of Langer's coaching career when Australian captain Pat Cummins dodged the question over Langer's future and did not publicly back his coach following the 2021 Ashes series victory. Legends of the game don't seem too impressed by the lack of support from the Australian cricket captain and the board, taking to their social platforms to express their disappointment. I think it's a really sad day as far as Australian cricket is concerned, former Australian cricket captain Ricky Ponting said. Me knowing Justin the way I do, he was very keen to continue in the role, as he should have been after what's been the best coaching period of his international career, having just won the 2020 World Cup and then the 4-0 result in the Ashes. It seems like a very strange time for a coach to be departing. Brad Hogg reiterated similar claims to Ricky Ponting, stating via Twitter he picked up the pieces a little more. Sorry, but a lot more respect should be shown. History has shown that if you don't have a leader at the helm who is willing to call a spade, it can lead to a period of decay. Langer's former opening partner Matthew Hayden called out Australian captain Pat Cummins in an emotional interview on ABC Grandstand. The whole thing just reeks of being orchestrated, he said. It's such a leaking boat, this so-called high-performance culture within cricket. There's no inner sanctum anymore. It was absolutely clear that no one backed him. Former Australian fast bowler Mitchell Johnson went even further with his attack on Australian captain, citing his unwillingness to back Langer as failing his first big test as captain miserably in a column in the West Australian. Cummins holds a lot of power and must have been central to what's happened. He's clearly had an agenda to get in a coach he wants. So was Langer treated unfairly? According to the former greats, it appears so. But that doesn't matter in the minds of the Australian cricket team. Langer flew home to Western Australia to be with his family, and assistant coach Andrew McDonald has now taken the role as interim coach of the Australian cricket side. Despite a bitter ending to his stint as Australian cricket coach, what Langer has done for cricket in Australia, both as a coach and as a player, demonstrates what discipline and passion for perfection can get in terms of success. When Australia eventually goes on to achieve future success with the side they have today, let's not forget the impact Langer had on getting them there. I am sure this is not the last we will see of Justin Langer. Thanks for watching.